finally filming outside again. It is, gosh, how warm is it? It is 60 degrees for the first time this year in Michigan, and at least in northern Michigan. And I am so excited. Although it's supposed to snow this week, I don't know. Very strange. But I really wanted to come outside to film something, and thought that I would pull out this tag that Indy from Ota Books created, I think back in August or September, where they took inspiration from the K-pop band Stray Kids. Now, I don't really know anything about Stray Kids or about K-pop, but Indy is a very dear booktube friend, and I wanted to make this video because I love them and not because I know anything about this band. But the questions are amazing, and I had written some of these answers down like months ago with plans to film it, and then have just been so busy with school stuff. So I thought that this, oh dear, traffic noises, I'm sorry. I thought that this sunny day would be a nice opportunity to do that. So I will jump right into these questions, and I will of course link their video down in the description. Please go check it out and check out their channel if you do not already subscribe to it. So the first section of questions is based on the members, and I do not think I'm going to be pronouncing all of their names accurately, but I will try my best. So the first one is Bang Chan. Who is your favorite leader of a found family? This is probably not going to come as a surprise to most of the people who watch my channel, but I am going to go with Ryan Bird from The Weight of the Stars. She just compiles her, that's kind of a weird word to use. She pieces together this group of very diverse teens and kind of uses her tough love to form them into a support group for each other, and it's amazing. The next question is Minho. Name an admirable character that never gives up. Some of these character questions are interesting for me for reasons that I'll get into a little bit later with one of the other questions. But we're gonna throw it back with good old Annabeth Chase. That is the first thing that came to mind when I thought of that. And I'm sure we all know why she is the answer to this question. The next question is Changbin. What is a book that you love with a black cover? Again, will come as no surprise. The Wicker King is the first one that popped into mind. I can't think of a ton of other books off the top of my head with primarily black covers. So yeah, we'll go with that. So next is Hyunjin. Who is your favorite snarky or sarcastic character? But what initially came to mind was Percy and Leo, of course, that are so known for that, you know, from Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus. But since I already went with Annabeth, we'll go to another series that admittedly, okay, well, I guess a chainsaw use is like slightly appropriate for this answer, because I was going to say that admittedly this series does have its issues, but I will go with Ronan Lynch from the Raven Cycle, whose pet raven is named Chainsaw. So please just don't use that anymore, neighbor. But yes, Ronan just embodies that snarkiness. The next one is Han Jisung. Name a character that is small but mighty. This is a very specific answer, but there's a story in Love After the End, which is a short story collection of speculative indigiqueer stories, like sci-fi, fantasy, and the story specifically that I'm picking for this is The History of the New World by Adam Garnett Jones. There is a kid in that, so like quite literally small. I think she's like 8 maybe. I'm gonna put her name in writing on the screen because I don't know how to pronounce it. It may be Asewan, but it was one of my favorite stories from that collection, and she is a very mighty and fierce little child. So yeah, that's my answer for that one. Okay, so here's where I'm going to talk about how some of these character questions are hard for me to think of the answers to. So the question is, Felix, who is your comfort character? So, like, one of the reasons why I kept thinking of Heroes of Olympus characters for these answers is because I've noticed that as I've gotten older and have not read as many series, that characters tend to stick in my mind a lot less. There are so many characters that I am sure that I have read since I read The Raven Cycle who are just as sarcastic and snarky as Ronan, or as Leo, or Percy, or whatever. But something about reading so many standalones and just like reading over 100 books a year for the past 2 years has made me lose track of characters and their traits, and it makes me, like, I hadn't really realized that until I was thinking about this answer, and it makes me like disappointed that I haven't really honed in on that, I guess. That I was going through my year in books on Goodreads and trying to think of characters that would fit some of these answers, and I was just like, I don't remember enough about some of them to pick that out. So that was just an interesting realization. Yeah, so I don't really know if I have an answer for the comfort character. I think there's the familiarity of some of these old series and these old characters, like in Heroes of Olympus, or in like books that I've reread, like K. Ancrum's, or some that I want to reread, or some of these like really fun, heartwarming, newer YA that have come out recently, like Cemetery Boys and Miss Meteor. There's like a comforting feel to that, but I can't think of a specific character. So that's how I'll leave that answer. And speaking of Miss Meteor, I have Seungmin, name a character that's the embodiment of sunshine. I put down Lita from Miss Meteor. She gives birthday presents to cactuses. Of course, that is the embodiment of sunshine. She is just so full of that just vibrance and sweetness. And the book is by Anna Marie McLemore and Taylor K. Mejia. This is the last members question. What book could you never get tired of rereading? Like I was saying, like, I've reread K. Ancrum's books several times. There's a handful that I want to reread. I was thinking about rereading The Seep sometime soon, because this is around the time of year that I read it for the first time, and just all of these complicated early quarantine memories coming back and spring coming again just reminds me of the atmosphere of that book, and I think it would be interesting to reread it with the added context of what 2020 became. And I also was thinking a lot about poetry rereads with this. There are certain poetry books that I annotate most of the poetry that I read, but there are certain ones that I continually keep going back to, like a lot of Andrea Gibson's books, Megan Falley's Drive Here and Devastate Me. She has one poem in that one that really stands out to me about writing and like imposter syndrome, kind of. There's another one about like how if the parents of a lot of her queer friends had like had been like not allowed to have kids because they wouldn't accept their kids unconditionally, then most of her favorite people would never have been born. And that poem just like really hit me when I first read it. And so there's just something that I keep going back to, as well as This Accident of Being Lost by Leanne Batassim Simpson. I haven't like fully reread it. I think I want to reread it while listening to the audiobook. But there are some sections in that one that I have reread several times, like some of the short stories in it. So then we're getting into songs. So the first song is Hero's Soup. Name your favorite comfort food. Well, speaking of soup, I tend to find a lot of comfort in like very thick, stewy soups. Lots of muffins is like kind of weirdly has become like a thing that is like associated with me and my friend group. Yeah, just like warm cozy, things like that. This next question is such a thoughtful question that is so indie. The song is m.i.a, and the question is, if you could, what would you say to the old you? I guess depending on when this question would travel back in time to hit my past self, I would say for early teens to not be ashamed of the things you really like that people think are weird. And for later teens, like even a couple years ago, I would say you need to learn the idea of people not needing each other is a scam of capitalist individualism. And connected to that, this idea that you have of writing instructors and studying writing in college being something that will snuff out one's creativity, this like weird ideas about like not wanting to share your work. Those are some of the most ridiculous things you've ever held on to, and they're certainly not true. So there certainly are plenty of other things that I can think of, but we will leave it at that for now. So then there's a song, 19, name a book, TV show, or movie that defined your adolescence. I think this answer is pretty relatable for a lot of bookworms of my generation, which would be Hunger Games trilogy and Heroes of Olympus. This was like a very community-based thing with several of my friends in high school, to the point of like I made a whole like alternate ending movie about Prim not dying, and I did so much cosplay for this, especially with Heroes of Olympus with some of my friends. I always cosplayed as Annabeth. We made videos for that. Like I have a stuffed guinea pig named Percy, and another as with TV shows as well. Doctor Who was definitely one of those as well. Lots of cosplay for that. The next question is voices. What is a song that is best played loud? I feel like a very like easy and typical answer for me would be a lot of like sort of fun, bouncy, punky songs that I do love to listen to while I drive, but I'm gonna go with this song that's like kind of unexpected. It's called I Like the Devil by the band Purity Ring, which is a very interesting band name, and is not at all relevant to their music. I love them. They have this very like sort of haunting, like syrupy, sort of poppy sound, but like it's very like melodic. I'm very bad at describing music, but the song I Like the Devil, like if you hear it with earbuds or just like through a computer speaker or your phone speakers, it's like, okay, cool, like this has a beat to it. But then when I play it in the car, and granted my car does have very good speakers, which I am very lucky to have, and also owe to someone who tampered with the bass in a way that I could not have done. But playing this song in the car just blew my mind. Like the way that the bass comes out and just like thumps throughout the entire song is just like completely different than ever listening to it just with earbuds. There's something really captivating to me about how this song is like a lighter kind of like their sound, their style is like a much lighter, like it's not a very like, it's not something you would think about as having like a really intense bass to it, but somehow just the way it played when I was driving, I don't know, it's, hopefully this makes sense, but it's a great song to play very loudly. More song questions. The song that prompted this one is, what are your top 5 go-to hype songs? There's so many of these for me, and the ones that I'm going to list are, they have been like this in the past. I think at various times they have been then associated with memories that then make them less fun and less confidence boosting. But that being said, we'll go with Brilliant by Shinedown, I Want to Get Better by Bleachers, Coming Out of the Rain by Greek Fire, Get Up and Fight by Muse, and From the Ashes by In This Moment. Going off of that, Indy, you ordered these so well to be all connected to each other, like in the order that you put them. So the question is easy, or the song is easy. The question is, what does confidence mean to you? And again, such a sweet, thoughtful question. This is a little bit tricky to pin down. I think I'm still figuring it out. I think it has something to do with learning how to dress and present in a way that feels really honest and true, that it makes me like carry myself like with a posture and a confidence that I certainly haven't always had. Working to understand the ways that like my anxiety will try to hijack senses of surety when they do come to me. With this, I think it has something to do with this like kind of sense of adrenaline that can come from listening to songs like the ones I just mentioned, or from knowing that I have done something well, or that just feeling like I am like physically capable of doing things that I did not think that I was. So yeah, we'll go with that for now, I guess. The song Phobia, What is Your Studio Ghibli Comfort Movie? I haven't seen a ton of Studio Ghibli movies. I had never watched one more than once, which is perhaps unfortunate. But I will say my favorite so far has been from Up on Poppy Hill. Slump, name some TV shows that are on your to-be watch list. This is a tricky one for me because like I'm very weird with like TV shows and movies, and like I don't tend to watch a lot of them, and like I'm very picky about them, I guess. I'm also like not really sure about a lot of ones that are out lately that people are loving, but as someone who loves queer history, I'm curious about Dickinson, which is, I think it's on HBO, because I know I can't access it without like some kind of free trial nonsense, or I don't know. So it's not on Hulu or Netflix, which I do have access to, but it's about Emily Dickinson and her, I think it was her sister-in-law who she had a romance with. And then also like upcoming seasons of things are on my list, just because it's like, okay, these are already in my consciousness. I'm really excited for the next season of Pose and of Sex Education, which I think there's another season coming soon. I don't know, COVID has messed up all of the filming schedules for things. I'm also working on rewatching Killing Eve so that I can watch the third season, because I don't remember enough about the first two seasons to just launch right into the third. Airplane, name a book that you have read while traveling. This one will be Caroline's Heart by Austin Chant. This is a little novella about I think he's a trans cowboy and then a trans witch. I read this while I was in Texas last winter, before traveling became prohibited, and I really enjoyed it. It was really sweet. And I read it while I was, like, the story is set in Texas, which was like totally not planned. So that was interesting. Let's see. Maze of Memories. What was the last book you read with a red cover? This cover is very red. This is Concrete Rose. I just finished this a couple weeks ago. I listened to it. It's the prequel to The Hate U Give, covering teenage Maverick Carter. It was so good. I would definitely recommend it. There was a feeling of a series to it, just because of not only being the prequel to The Hate U Give, but also being in the same world as On the Come Up. And so it just really made me wish that there were more like straight up contemporary series, or even just more interconnected contemporary books that all have the same characters, even if they aren't like set one year after another. If anybody has recommendations for contemporary series, I would appreciate that. I really can't think of any, unless my brain is just like totally spacing out on something that's really obvious. I don't know. The last question is Sunshine, which is appropriate for today. Name 4 of your favorite books with yellow on the cover. So we'll go with Patsy by Nicole Dennis Benn, When the Moon Was Ours by Anne Marie McLemore, The Boy Who Steals Houses by C.G. Drews, which is a very underrated, amazing book, and Rust Belt Femme by Rachel Angelou. And that is it for all of these questions. Please go check out Indy's tag. If you want to do this tag yourself, you should. Thank you, Indy, for creating these questions, and thank you for watching. Leave a sunshine emoji down below if you made it to the end of the video. Hopefully I'll be back soon. Happy spring. Bye.